Now let's move to automations. And I feel this is where a lot of people have issues, especially if they are not really tech savvy and they do not know how to use email marketing or CRM softwares before. It becomes very, very hard to set up an automation. But in this part, I am going to try to simplify this lesson so that it is very understandable. Yeah, so you're going to click on create an automation. So you can decide to start an automation from scratch if you want, and you can decide to use their templates that they've already provided in here. So they have the abandoned carts, and this one is very, very good for when you connect your e-commerce store. You can then add this. You can also add the one for the purchase, the product purchase, and we have another one for anniversary date and marketing activity to send message based on who opened or click the email, and we have the welcome message. Welcome message is when people come into your Brevo account as new contacts, then you can decide to send an email to them. But one thing to do before setting up an automation is that you have to make sure that you have the plan laid out already, whether in your head or you have it written down already, or you can even create a flow chart if that is going to be easier for you to kind of check what step you need to add at every step of the way. Because when you start creating it, it can be confusing and you want to make sure that you're following the right step. So when you click on create automation, now as you can see, it has created this automation for me. But now it is asking me to do this step because I'm using a template, there's a particular step I need to follow. So it is saying that since we are saying that our trigger is when a contact is added to a list. So you remember how we created that form and we added that form to a list in the landing page. So let's say a new contact fill out that form and they come into that particular list. So that means the list is, I think, outlets. Yeah. So when they come into outlets, and this is a list, and you can click on next. So Brevo is just setting up a guide for us because we are using a template, and we just need to make sure that you are following whatever it is they want you to follow. So you can also click on next because we want to use the 2 days, and we want to send an email after 2 days when they fill in that form. So they have this message connected in here. So I'm just going to remove this design because I do not want it. And you can just select whatever template is it you want to have. So I already created a video, or you can just go back and check how I created the templates in here in Brevo. So I have this template here. So you can just click on use template, and you can also preview it to use it just to make sure that you're using the right template. So this is the template over here, and as you can see, we have this template. I created it and I added some things in here. And if you want to know how to create template, please go back to the template section to know how to create this particular template. So now you are going to click on use this design in this automation, and that is going to go back to your automation. And yeah, so as you can see, this template has been added, and also we need to add in the subject line, and that has also be added. You can also decide to add a preview for this particular email, and you can also decide to change the send address and add another sender if you want, and you can also decide to change the sender name, and you can also decide to edit their setting. So the first setting is saying that we need to define the days and time frame for sending this email. So you can decide that you want to send at every day of the week at every time. So that will be 24/7. Or you can decide that I don't know what to send on weekends, and you can just take off Saturday and Sunday. That is if you want. And also you have to decide the applicable time zone. So if no choice is made and the time zone is going to be set to default, which is Lagos, Nigeria. And also you can decide to send a CC to particular set of people. Maybe you want to CC yourself or you want to CC any of other people or contact or whoever you want to CC. You can also add them to this particular place. So if you want to CC yourself, you will need to add yourself as a contact first. So you can also send a PCC to any of the contacts, or you can also send to their recipients. If you created another field for the email, for another email, you can also add that email and just PCC them, whichever one you want. So I'm just going to toggle this off. So you can decide to use a different reply to address. Just make sure to include that here if you want to use a different one. And you can decide to activate your Google analytics tracking. That is if you want to do that. You can decide to add in a tag and you can decide to add in an attachment. So you can decide to drag in files, maybe PDF, images, whatever it is you want to attach to this email, you can attach that. You can also decide to use an update form. So the update form is just like a particular form that is created by Brevo in that can be placed in your email so that people when people click on those when they click on that update profile form, they can be able to update their profile in your Brevo account. So they can be able to update their names, their addresses, their city. This will help for your contacts to stay up to date. You can also add in a custom unsubscribe page if that is what you want to add, or you can just remove it and use the default page. So after you have added all of this, you click on save options, and yeah, you have to save this. Please make sure to save for this to work. And now this is our template that has been added, and we have been able to set this up. But just for this tutorial sake, I am going to go through every of the triggers we can use in Brevo and every of the actions we can use. So when we say contact is added to a list, and that is the original one that was done. As you can see, you can add multiple triggers. So when you want to add a contact to a list, you can just pick whichever list you want to add that contact to. So you can decide to choose from whichever folder it is you want to pick from, and you can just add that list. And if you do not have the list already, you can just click on create new list. And when you click on create new contact list, it's going to give you the opportunity to create a new list and put them in the folder that you want. So I do not want to create a list. I'm just going to cancel this, and I'm going to go back to my triggers, and I want to add, let me just delete this. Okay. And the other trigger is contact is removed from a list. So when you're saying you want this to be triggered based on when a contact is removed from a list, you're saying that from every of my list, if I take out a contact from any of those lists, this automation should be triggered. Now you can pick which list you want to take out contact from. You can pick whatever folder it is you want to add, and you can add those lists, and this will be triggered when a contact is removed from those lists. Also, you can decide to send to contacts that are matching custom filters. So let's say you want to send to contacts that are from country Nigeria, or you want to send to contacts that are from a particular city, or contacts who have their emails, or contacts who are in a particular business industry, you can also use the filter for that. And now when you click on add filter, you can be able to select the list or segment, or you can just create a new entirely new filter if you want. So please go back to the video. I will go back to the section or the video where I mentioned how to create a segment from scratch. This is going to help you, especially if you want to like check for different segments, and I already did that in detail. So please go back and check that. You can create segments and you can just add them in here. So if you want to just add filters and not create segments, you can just use their contact details or you can use the email details. So let's say we want to check for contact details and we want to check for people who are from a particular city. You can do that. You can just say the city is equals to, then you can fill in whatever city you want them to come from, or you can do this for country. You can also do this for your emails. So you can also do this for your emails. Maybe when they open an email or when they send an email or when they even get bounced, you can also set up this automation for them. So you can also use all of this. So please go back to the segment. I explained how to use this in details. So after you add the certain criteria you want to check for each contact. Maybe when they book a call, you want this automation to be triggered, or maybe when you send out an SMS and they open the SMS, you want this automation to be triggered. You can also do that. So after you have added in the particular filter, you can click on add filter. So I'm just going to add a random one. So let's say I want to check for meeting, and when a meeting is booked, at least one time in the last 6 months, we want to add this filter. As you can see, this filter has been added and we want to click on save. So after we have clicked on save, as you can see, this filter has been added, and that is whenever a meeting is booked, then the automation will be triggered. So another thing to do is that so another filter you want to check for also is that if a contact is in a particular segment, it's just like the one we just completed, you can just check in for whichever segment you have created and you can be able to specify this particular automation for those segments. So let's say from our segment that we have already created, we have subscribed leads. So as you can see, this leads will be added to this automation. So everyone on this segment will be added to this automation. So if there's a new contact that is being added to this segment, then the automation will be triggered. When you are sure of it, then you click on save. And as you can see, that has been added. So you can also delete this, and you can also do the same thing for anniversary. So for anniversary, you can decide to check years a client have used with you, or let's say a client have been working with you for the past 1 year. You can create a field where you can see the date field that is going to check for when they became a client, and you can add that in, and you can just send out a message like, thank you, it's already 2 years and you've been working with us, thank you for working with us, blah 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 blah, and add all of those things. And you can also add their birthdays. This is actually very important, especially when you have a close relationship with your clients. You can send out birthday messages to them on their birthdays, and you do not need to start remembering everyone's birthday. You just need to set up an automation for that. So when you add in birthday, and you can say that you want to send that on the same day, or you want to send that after that date or before that date. So it's just to send on the same day because that's their birthday, obviously. So you just send on their birthdays and you click on save. Now this trigger has been saved, and when it is your birthday, the birthday email can't be sent. So after you've done that, how to delete this? So you also want to create a trigger from where for when a contact is added manually. Okay, so what does contact added manually means? It means that when you want to, you can decide to add contacts into this automation manually instead of you trying to make sure all of them fit in through this second trigger. You can decide to add in a contact added manually, and you can decide to just pick random contacts and just add them to this automation. So when you're done with this, you just click on close, and that means when you publish this, you can decide to go into your contact page and just select the particular contact you want to add to that automation, and you can add them. So I'm just going to delete that. Okay, we still have a lot of triggers, so I'm just going to explain directly what it means. So we have when the form is selected, and when the form is selected, we want to check for um oh, okay. So when a form is selected, remember that we created a sign up form in that website form. Yeah, we created the website form in our form page. If you want to learn how to create a form, please go back to the part where we created the form. So the trigger is going to be that when they submit this form, then this workflow will be triggered. Then the next one is when an email is opened. So when an email is opened, you are saying that if they open any of Okay, so you can decide that you want to do this for any type of email or you want to add for a specific email. So if you want to add for a specific email, let's say you sent out an a welcome email. Sorry, you sent out a welcome email and you want to check for everyone that has opened this email. You can do that by checking the email name is exactly whatever it is you want to add. So you can add in whatever template is it, and you can add in like the welcome message. So that means if the email name is the welcome message and this email is opened, then this automation will be triggered. And also you can do the same thing for the contact filter. So we do not want to check for every of the contacts. We just want to check from the contacts that are from Nigeria. If they are from Nigeria and they open a specific email, then this workflow will be triggered. And also you can check for the link that is clicked in an email. So for the link that is clicked in an email, you can also do the same thing you did for contact opening the email. You can check for the filter for the email and pick whatever email it is you want to add. And you can also check for the contact filters. You can check for contacts that are coming from Nigeria or contacts that are coming from USA or contacts that are coming from Ghana, wherever it is they are coming from. So after you are done with all of those filters, just click on confirm trigger, sorry. Next thing also is to check for unsubscribed emails. So if you're checking for unsubscribed emails, you want to say that when an email unsubscribe, and you can also say that when an email unsubscribe from a particular email, you can also add that filter. So when you add that filter, it is going to check for that particular email that you are checking for. So let's say you sent out the welcome email and you want to check why they unsubscribe from that email. You can also set up this as a trigger, and when you're done, you can click on add filter and that is going to be added. And you can also do that for contacts that are coming from maybe a specific place or coming from a specific industry. That can also be done. So I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to cancel and I'm going to go to the next one. So the next one is for the conversation, and you can check if they open the sales email or if the sales email is clicked or if the conversation ended or started or the message is received. You can also check for deals, and you can check if the task is created or if a deal is created. You can also decide that to check for the deal stage is updated. So if you want to check for the deal stage is updated, you can check for the particular stage that was updated. Yeah, so you can check for the stage name that was updated. You can also check for the pipeline that was updated, the deal name, whichever filter it is you want to add, you can add that. So after you've added all of those filters to deals, you can also do that for different filters for contact. So you want to only do that for contact that are coming from a specific place like Nigeria. And that means you are saying that for every Nigerian that have a deal, that the stage was updated to maybe updated to appointments booked, then we want to set up this automation for them. So after you've confirmed the trigger and you've edited all of this, you can just click on confirm trigger, and yeah, I'll just delete this. Also, you can check for the task that is completed in a particular deal. You can also check for your meeting booked, for your meeting started, and if your meeting got cancelled. So let's say you have a meeting with a client and it got cancelled. You can check for the particular meeting that was cancelled, and you can set up this automation trigger for that particular meeting. So let's say you have a meeting and you have I have actually not created meeting. So if you have a meeting name, and you can be able to check for the particular meeting that was cancelled. So this will help you to concentrate the effort into just one meeting instead of checking for all of the meeting. And you can also do for all of the meeting if you want, because you do not want to add a filter. You can just like leave it the way it is. And so when you confirm the trigger, that means you are saying that for every meeting that was cancelled, then this trigger should be done. So just make sure you know what you actually want to build this automation for, and use whatever trigger you want to use. And make sure you add the filters correctly, and please do not make mistakes when you are adding all of those filters. And for the actions, when you go to the actions is the thing that is following the trigger. And remember that you can have more than one trigger. So you can decide to add an action. So let's say we are using this action and we are saying that when a contact is added to a particular list, then the first action can be you can also add this contact to a list. So when they add to a list, you can also add to another list. Yeah, that is actually possible. Next thing for you to do is to select which list you want to add them to. Then you click on cancel. I do not want this. So after they've added to a list, then you can add to a list, then you can also remove from a list. Then you can update a contact attribute. So let's say that if they're added to a particular list, we want to update the lead source. So we can decide I want to update the lead source or want to delete the lead source, whichever one works for you. You can just pick the attributes you want to update. I am just going to pick lead source, and I am just going to add in a condition. So I just want to say if they're coming from that list, I want to mark them as I want to mark them as SEO. So when I mark them as SEO, this field will be updated whenever this contact is added to this list. As you can see, it has created this action, and that will be performed when this trigger is done. You can also decide to delete the contact. Please don't forget, you can decide to delete the attribute source. So that means you can pick an attribute and you can decide to delete whatever value is in that attribute. So let's say that we already have the lead source field as SEO for this lead. We can decide to create another action to delete this particular deal to delete this particular attribute. And the next action will be to block list their contact. So you can decide that when they get into this list, I don't want to send them an email, I don't want to send them SMS, or I don't want to send them anything. You can just decide to blocklist them. And when you blocklist them, whenever you send out an email, it is not going to be delivered to them. So this is done for contact that unsubscribe. It is very good because you don't want to keep sending emails to contacts who are unsubscribed from your list. So make sure that when the contact is added to a list, maybe it's an unsubscribed list, you can decide to blocklist them from maybe their transactional email, marketing email, or you want to block them from all emails and all senders. And if you block them from marketing emails, you can still be able to send out one-on-one emails. But if you block them from all emails and senders, you are blocking them from every of the email, whether transactional or whether email campaigns or whatever it is. And when you are done, you click on save. So I'm just going to delete this. So for that is for the block list of blocklisting of the contact. You can also decide to assign a user to a contact. So let's say they come into this list, you can decide to assign a particular user for that particular sender. You can also decide that you want to select a particular user or you want to use a round robin. So a round robin is it is going to be rotated between different users. So if a user gets it, the new contact, then the next one the other user is going to get it, and the next one another user is going to get it. So it is just like going around. Yeah, so you can select which user you want in this round robin. And since I have only one contact, I'm just going to use this one. So when you are done, you click on save. And when you save, as you can see, the action has been saved. So if the next action you can add is to delete a contact. To delete a contact, you can select that when they get into this list, you can delete this particular contact. So it is showing you a warning sign, and it is saying here that any contact that enters this action will be deleted permanently. So you have to be very careful of the contacts you are deleting. You can delete contact that add bounced, or you can delete contact that unsubscribe, but make sure that you actually want to delete them, because if you delete them, if you set up this action, it is going to delete all of them permanently, and you cannot be able to recover them. So make sure you are doing the right step by adding this step, and I'm just going to delete it. And the next step will be to update company attributes. The way you are going to update company attributes is the same way you are also going to update the contact attributes. So it's the same process. You can also decide that you want to send an email, or you can send an SMS. You can also send a push notification. You can also send a WhatsApp message, but you can also only send a WhatsApp message when you have WhatsApp connected already. And you can also notify by email. So notify by email means you want to send. Notify by email means that when a contact is added to that list, when a trigger is done, any of the trigger you have added, you want to notify a user in Brevo. So you can pick whichever sender you want to notify, or whichever so you can pick whichever user you want to notify. So who do you want to notify? So you can try to pick yourself. So I have my name in here. I'm just going to pick my name, and so I want to notify myself and say, I have a new contact in this list that you might want to check out, blah, 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 blah. Then write the message. Then you can also add in a template if you want. You can insert templates. You can also insert the variables like the contact name, where they are coming from. Yeah, so you can be able to notify yourself when a contact is added to that list. So when you're done, you click on save. So I'm just going to take this out and go to the next one. So the next one will also be to call a webhook, but you can also call a webhook when you are trying to connect Brevo to a third-party system. For creating a task, you can decide that when they enter that list, you want to create a task, or you can create a deal, and you can also update the deal attributes if you want. So for the last part, you can also decide that when they enter that list, you want to start another automation. So let's say you have another automation where you've written the sequences, you've written a very well laid out sequence. Like when they come in, you send an email. The first day, 3 days later, you send another email, and 3 days later, you send another email, and you have that automation set up. You can decide that when they enter this list, that is going to start this automation. Then it is going to ask you to pick what automation you want to start. So that means you must have created another automation apart from the one you are creating now, and you can just add them to that automation. And you have to make sure that this automation you're adding is um is functional. It is not inactive. So you can also select the step you want to add to that automation. So you can select whatever step you want to add. And because this is an inactive automation, I'm just going to like add it. So you can add this contact to a particular step. You can just pick whatever step you want them to add to, and you can add that to that step. I think that's actually very nice. So now back to my automation, and I'm going to go back to action. Yeah. So after adding to the another automation, and you can pick the other step, the last one is to redirect a contact to another step. So let's say you created this automation and you want to add them to another step in this particular automation. You can decide whatever step you want to add them in the particular automation you are building. Yeah, you can actually do that. So you can select that when they get into this list, just go back to this step, and you can just redirect contact to that step. So when you click on that, it's going to redirect to when you click on redirect contact to this step, then it's going to redirect them to this particular step that you have selected. Let me go back to editor. Cancel. Okay, so that is all for the actions for automation in Brevo. Now let's check out the rule. Now the rule is quite simple and some of them can be complicated. So we know that the first rule is time delay, and this seems like the most popular one because we are just delaying to perform a particular action. So you can add in maybe 3 days, or you can add in how many months you want, or maybe 2 months, or 12 months, or a year. So they are saying that a month is equivalent to 30 days. So please take note of this when you are creating this particular step. So when you add your time delay, you can also say that I said wait for 2 months. You can also add in a conditional split. Where is that going to come in? Okay, so a conditional split is going to split your automation into two or more conditions, like more two or more branches. Yeah, what branches? So the first branch is yes or no. So that means we want to define this rule, and we can also define this rule by saying that if this happen, and if it is a yes, if it happened, then start this branch. If it is a no, then start this particular branch or exit from this branch. So you can decide to set up the split condition, and that means when you click on add, it is saying that for everyone that is being added in this condition, they will be added to the yes branch, and everyone that do not fulfill this will be added to the no branch. So be very careful of this because you are splitting them into different segments. So let's say we want to check for a particular filter. Let's use a filter this time. And let's say that it is only going to move on to the next stage only if they opened the email. Then you can also determine what particular email you want them to open for this yes branch. So now we have this yes branch, and we're saying that any type of email, it can be email campaign or transactional email, whichever one you want. And you can say that you want to check for at least one time in the last 6 months. You remember that you can change this, right? Or you can say at least two times in the last 6 months. And you can also check for a particular filter. So you can check for the email name, is you can check for any of the templates that you have created in Brevo. So let's say use this. So we are saying that for the branch to go to yes, this is the filter. And they're saying that the filter should be that they must open this particular email in the last 6 months, and they must have opened it two times. You can also reduce this to one if you want. So that means if you have not opened this email in the last 6 months, then it is going to go to the no branch. Oh my god, I hope that's not confusing. Okay, so I'm just going to take it again. Okay, so you know how we have two branches. We have the yes branch and we have the no branch. So the yes branch is for everyone that is fulfilling this criteria or that is fulfilling this condition. And the no branch will be for everyone that is not fulfilling this condition. So the condition is that if they have opened this particular email in the last 6 months, at least one time, we want to add them to the yes branch. And if they have not opened this email in the last 6 months, at least once, then we want to add them to the no branch. So when you're done with this condition, you just click on save. So now this condition has been added, and when you click on save in here, it is going to update this. And as you can see, we are saying that if they have opened this email, we can then start this order automation. Then it's going to go to this branch. You can decide to add whatever it is you want in this branch. Just drag in whatever it is you want, and you can set up the no branch also. So the no branch, you can decide that you want them to what exist from this automation. Then you click on save. That is for the conditional split. For the percentage split is quite complicated a little bit, but not really complicated. Yeah, so for percentage split, you can decide that, you know what, when they get to this part, I want certain people to go to branch A, and I want percentage of people to go to branch B, and I think, yeah. So you can decide that you want 40% to go to branch A, and you can also decide that you want 60% to go to branch B. So when you set up this percentage split, Brevo is going to be the one to decide which contacts they are going to take to branch A or branch B. When you click on save, your percentage split has been added, and you can decide that, you know what, I want to add in another action for this branch B. So this is actually very good. I feel this percentage split work for when you want to do A and B test in your automation. And I know that that can be a little bit complicated for some people, but if you know how to do it, it's actually very nice, because you can say that 40% should receive a particular email and 40% should receive another email. That is going to help. Okay, I use list. Sorry, I'm supposed to use email. Let me delete this and go back to email. So let's say we want to just drop this here, and we want to use the percentage split. I want to say that for everyone that is coming to branch B, the 60% of them should send out this particular email. Then you can create another email template, another version of it, and just add that in here. So let me just copy this. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to drag this in here. Okay, so as you can see, we can have branch A and we can have branch B. Then we can say that, you know what, I want to send out this email for branch A, and I want to send another email for branch B. And please note that you do not have the control over who is going to branch A or who is going to branch B. Brevo will be the one deciding that for you. Okay, so that's for the percentage split. The next rule that you want to add is to wait until an event happens. Oh my god. Okay, this is becoming complicated. So I'm just going to drag this, drag it up. Okay, so let's just put it in here. And as you can see, it has been added in here. And we're saying that if they come into this list and we update their a particular field, then we want to wait for an event to happen before this automation can continue. So for instance, we can wait for any of these conditions to happen. We can use the contact details. We can say if they open an email, or we can say if they open a conversation, or if a deal is created. Whatever it is you want to use, you can actually use it. So you can say when they are added to a list or when they are removed from a list. You can use a lot of events. Actually, they have a lot of events you can pick from. Just determine the one you want to use. Then you can select from a list, and you can just save this. So how many days are we waiting for this event to happen? So let's say we want to wait for 5 days, and we want to check for that event to happen. You click on save. Then you are saying that um after 2 days we want to wait for this event to happen for 5 days. So if the event happen, that means it is a yes. And if this event happen, then that means if it does not happen, sorry, then that means it is a no. So you are saying that if they are added to this list, that is yes. And if it is if they are not added to this list, then that is a no. So now you can decide to just use any of this action and just put it in here. So if they're added to this list, you can decide to send an email. And if they are not added, you can decide to just start another automation for those people who are not added to this list. I feel it's kind of complex a little bit, but just take your time to like go through it. I promise you, it is not. It is actually very simple. So when the events do not happen, okay, look at this for instance. It is saying that we want to wait for a contact to be added to a list, and the wait time is 5 days. And it is asking that did the event happen in 5 days? So if it is a yes, then that means we are sending out this email. If it is a no, then that means we are asking them to set up this step. We're asking them to go through this step. And the step is to start another automation. You can actually decide to add whatever action you want to add in here. You are free to do that. So I think that is all for the rules also. And we've done for the for the actions, and we've done for the trigger. And we want to go to the workflow settings. Now, for the workflow settings, have to make sure that you actually set up this. It's actually very important because now, can we allow contact to re-enter after they've existed this workflow? Now, let's say you set up a workflow and the contact existed. mm, let's say you set up a workflow and the contact left that workflow. Now you can determine if you want that contact to be able to re-enter that workflow. So when you toggle this on, we are saying that yes, we want them to be able to start that workflow all over again if they existed it, if they left the workflow, sorry. You can also set up the wait time, so you can decide to check how long before checking if the contact meets the trigger. So let's say we have a contact and we added those contacts into a particular automation. We can decide that, you know what, check for 2 days and see if they meet that particular trigger before this workflow can start for them. But we do not need this actually. Then you can also decide the exist condition. So you can set up this condition whereby, you know what, I want to check for all the contacts that have been added to a segment, or I want to check for the contacts that have been added to a list. And if they've been added to a list, you know what, we do not need to continue this automation for them. And if you set up this exist condition, it is going to stop the automation when they fulfill the particular condition you are creating. So let's say we want to use deal. So if a deal is created for this particular contact that is in this automation, we want to say that, you know what, just remove the contact from the automation. Now, when the deal is created, this contact is going to leave this automation, and that is the exit condition. You can decide to add another one if you want, and just add in whatever condition is it you want to add. So you can decide to add a restart condition. So let's say for this automation, you've set up the automation and you've set up the exist condition. Now, if you want people to be able to restart that automation, you can do that. So you can just put in the condition you want, and you can just say contact. Maybe if they're added to an inactive list, or if they're added to a engagement list, or if they're added to whatever list is it you have created, you can just select that list in whatever folder it is. And when you add that list, now they can now restart this automation when they are added to the list. So make sure that whatever condition you are adding is accurate, because if you set up this and it goes out automatically unless you delete it from here. Yeah. So after doing all of these conditions, you can click on save condition, and as you can see, your conditions it will be saved. So you can do for re-entry, you can do for your exist conditions, and you can do for the restart conditions. And another thing to note is that you can check for the activities. So you can check for every contact that's coming in into this workflow, and you can check for the date. So you can check for contact that came into this workflow last month, or you can check for contact that came in the last 30 days, or you can check for contact that came in today. So if a contact enters into this workflow, you can be able to see them in this particular workflow. So after you are done with all of this, you can click on exit editor, and you also want to make sure to publish your workflow for it to work. If it is showing inactive, it is actually not going to work, and that is why I need to delete all of this, because um, I'm not able to set it up. Okay, so because I want to activate this automation, it is actually going to say that I can't activate it, because yeah, I knew it was going to say this, because I have not been able to set up all of this. So I'm just going to go back to my editor, and is it that you set up all of this? Let me just quickly do that. So I'm just going to pick this. I'm just going to use this template. Okay, so I think, oh my God, I see I have this. I've been able to update some of it. Save step. Okay. Okay, so I've been able to add in the emails, I've been able to add in the automation. So for every emails, I've been able to do that, and I think I should be able to activate the automation. So it is going to stop you from activating the automation when you do not have all of this selected. If you have start an automation and you have not selected what automation to start, or if you have send an email and you do not have the email selected already, it is not going to allow you to activate it. So you can also decide to test this workflow. So when you click on text workflow, you can decide to test for a particular contact that you have. Just make sure it is yourself. So I have myself added in. I'm just going to add that, and I'm going to click on text messages, and it is going to test all of this for me. So you should be able to receive some of those emails, and you can see how, yeah, I've gotten it, and you can be able to see how it is showing up in your own email personally before you activate this workflow. When you are done, just click on done, and you click on activate automation. Yeah, it is showing you the exist condition and the allow re-entry enter, sorry, and the re-entry after exist, and also the exist condition. When you are sure that you have set up everything correctly, just click on activate automation, and now your automation has been activated. Wow, was a lot. So when you're done, you can check on your manage settles. You can decide to pause your automation. Maybe something is going on and you something is not right. You can pause it and readjust it, or you can decide to deactivate the automation if you don't want it again. So let's just exist this, and as you can see, we have a new and as you can see, we have a new active automation. So you can be able to see all of your active automations there, and you can be able to see all of your post automations there, and you can see your inactive automations there. You can also be able to see all those people who logged in your automation. That means you can see everyone that is currently in your automation. So you can see your workflow logs, you can see your event logs, and you can also see the contacts that are in workflows. So this will help you to track how your event is going or how the workflow log is working, and you can also see the contacts that are currently in your workflow. So you can see everyone that is passing through each workflow. So you can also check for messages, and these messages are the ones that are showing up in your automation. So as you can see, we have these messages that are being used in different automation. Yeah, so you can also check up on your automation settings, and you can install your Brevo tracker, if maybe from your website or wherever it is that the tracker is coming from. You can install that into Brevo.